All right, we're live. All right, hey everybody. Even though we've been sitting here for like 10 minutes in silence, trying to get everything working. But here is our book club. Hi everybody. Sorry about that. Um, it is Jaren's book this month, and I apologize. It usually in the summer times, you guys, we like reschedule like 3, maybe 4 times because we just have a lot of crap going on. But everybody's usually pretty patient, which I'm like waiting for the day people like, Lauren, get your crap together, you know? But Jaren, I was really excited for this book. So I'm gonna let you introduce it, and then everybody kind of go around and say what they're drinking for their libations, and then we'll get in the nitty gritty.
Yes, thank you. I heard about this book before the pandemic. Then we had the pandemic, and then I learned when the book was written. So, Parable of the Sower by Octavia Butler is this unique yet refreshing yet old navigating moment through, I guess, what is we could consider post-apocalyptic. So, kind of like modern society has fallen. What next? What does that look like? But considering what the pandemic has been like for all of us, I was like, ooh wee. I think this is a little eerie, it's a little creepy, it's a little true to life, it's a little too soon, but a great read that has done well and was recommended. So thanks everyone for humoring my selection for this month. And I will pass it on. I don't drink, but everyone drinks for me. So I will encourage someone to have 2 beverages, 1 in each hand. But that's my intro.
Yeah, I'm not drinking tonight. I'm just having my cup of tea, my English breakfast tea with my 1 cream, 1 sugar, just because I just didn't feel like drinking tonight. I got my second shot of the COVID vaccine, so I'm waiting to see if I feel funky. But yeah, that's what I'm drinking.
I have a wine called Witch's Brew by Leland Lou Sellers, and I'm drinking it in my Witch's Brew cup. So feeling very fall over here.
I've got water, and I also have wine in a can.
Nice.
Yeah, real fancy over here.
Hey, in celebration of the book, I'm drinking the Wee BC from this distiller called Arberg of Scotch. It's only 5 years old, but it's really good.
Oh, my Hazel came. Thanks. I got nachos. Okay.
So wee baby Hazel isn't so.
No, she's not wee baby anymore. No, not at all. She's giant. She just came back from Boys and Girls Club. So she might be a little bit nosy. Yeah, I know. So on this book, like Jaren was saying, first thing off, it's like I was surprised that it was written. Oh, there's Becky. In 1993.
Wow.
Yes,
you're waving at you.
Sorry, I had like nachos in my face, and then Hazel and all this stuff.
Here I am.
So we just started. We just kind of went around and just introduced like what we were drinking, and then I got hit with nachos. So,
so what do you? Grapefruit beer.
Nice.
Oh,
okay. It's good.
I like the canned alcoholics tonight, guys.
I know, right? It's all about the can tonight.
I need to get on board.
Hefeweizen.
Nice. Well, I was just saying.
Little foreign culture.
Oh, nice. Well, I was just saying how surprised I was that this book was written in 1993 and how everything is eerily very current for me, like with this book. It's not as extreme because it's like how Jaren was saying, it's like a apocalyptic, like dystopian kind of feel to this book. Where it to me it was like The Walking Dead without the zombies. But like this is what happens when things kind of get privatized and like everything just goes to crap. So that was like insane. And then you got like social injustices and you got just a lot of tension and a lot of love. So that was kind of it's very real for right now what's going on in the United States, for what I feel like. And it's kind of like a little forewarning, like a warning if anybody reads it to like, hey people, hey community, you know, like this could be us if you don't get it together.
Well, I thought it was very definitely dystopian fiction, which is why I would never have picked it on my own, because that is not my well, my son says I'll read anything, and he's about right. He says to me, "You're the only person I know who would pick any book from his bookshelves, any book from this shelf, and read it." And I said, "Well, yeah, I would. It doesn't mean I'd like it necessarily, but I thought I wouldn't like it because it was so dystopian. But I did.
Yeah,
I didn't love it, but I."
Well, it's actually part of a series. It's book one of, and there's another book, and
there's another book. But I started reading the other book, and I did not like it at all.
Oh, really?
I was not enamored with it at all. It goes on from there, from where they get there. I was pleased enough with the ending that it looked like it was going to be a positive ending. They were going to make it out of here and into there and start something new. And then the new thing they started was more depressing than the place they left. So, so I was not into that at all.
Spoiler alert.
It is a pretty
early. It's not a surprise. It's an early on finding. You don't have to read the whole book before you find that out.
Yeah, it's a pretty heavy topic book, or like series. And there is, like, for anybody that's wanting to read it and have it and is watching, there is triggers in here. Of like situations that are like very mature, well, coming for the dystopian kind of thing, like I said, it's like Walking Dead, and that can get pretty extreme and graphic, but like that's humans, you know, that we can get pretty nasty and we can be monsters. So I personally, it was because I've been reading like TikTok books. So I've been reading like Ice Planet Barbarians, which is like weird, like alien smut. And then I was reading this book. So it was like the yin and the yang. And so at first it was like, it was kind of hard for me to get into this book. But once I got in it and like mentally like understanding where the author Octavia was going with this and like shining light on a lot of stuff, especially back then when she wrote it, I was like, oh yeah, then I got it and I started emerging more into it. It is dark, and it's like sometimes you're like, if you have a bad day and you read this, you're like, whoo, that's pretty heavy. But I enjoyed it. It's not for everybody, but I really enjoyed it. I like the aspects of like what she was trying to show her readers. That's very important. It's not pretty, you know, like how we can be, how our community can be, our society, our country. So like, yeah, it was her, like, it's science fiction, you know, but you know, for me, it's like I said, it's kind of a little bit of like a forewarning because it could go there, you know.
Then I'm from California, so I kept trying to figure out, where are they? What does that look like now? And all that, following up the coast, up the 101.
Yeah.
All the way to Humboldt, which is probably charred beyond recognition lately because it burned last year before.
Mm-hmm.
So I can, when she was talking about the fires behind them, it reminded me a lot of being in San Diego through whatever year that was that San Diego County burned, and I ended up having to evacuate from where I was living because of it. Unfortunately, the fires only got within a half a mile of the house, but still close enough that it all felt real.
Feel it and smell it.
Oh yeah.
How about you, Duran? Like, since you're in LA, like reading this book, it was like, wait, like they were like saying LA is like the worst place to be.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't LA trash or LA rats. I'm like, we've earned it. Like, it's probably true. Like,
yeah, that makes sense.
Pretending we're hot shit, and then we're just like, dude, you're just like a normal person. But yeah, there were parts that I was like. So, of course, there are parts that are jarring. They kind of pull you out a little bit, and you're like, oh my gosh, if this happened today, it's like a break you take when you're reading. But I was so interested to think of the parts that only feel that way so strongly because of what's happening right now in after the pandemic, with everything in the news, how things are or aren't going for different parts of this country. It was so interesting. But then I do what you did, Lauren. I go back to when this book was written, and I'm still so blown away at how much of this rings true and feels
Yeah.
near. And that was what was really, that was a part of doing this with you all. Because I'm not gonna lie, I bought the book. I'd heard about it for a few years, and I bought it during the pandemic. It was a pandemic read, but I was always too afraid to start it. And when I was able to select it for this selection, I was like, okay, I have this amazing place. I don't have to do this by myself. I can go have this downloaded this experience and be like, what did you think when like there were just inappropriate things happening to the kids, or just like the gnarly
Oh, that was
sci-fi
hard.
parts,
Like,
all that's yeah.
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 With children, like that, those parts are, oh man, that tug at me, at my heart, at my feelings. Like, that's where I had to like stop reading, because, you know, she's 7 and I'm reading these things, and it's like, you know, I'm reading this, and that's reality to people right now. That's happening. So just like, you know, and that she wanted to shine light on that. It was difficult, but it was real, you know. It's stuff that could happen. So that was a toughie one. I'm glad I'm with you guys as like it wasn't a lone read like Drin, like how you said, because if I read this and I was just sitting here like, whoo, I would have had like a book hangover and like been rocking back and forth. So
this is a safe space for sure. And
Yeah.
even though it might not be something we all would normally choose, it's definitely eye-opening. You know, it's not the same as like the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, but I do relate to that book very often to events that are happening now. And it's the same thing with this book. You know, you see these events going on and you're like, I guess much hasn't really changed. We're still like humans and this is still our nature. It's like, damn.
yeah.
So
I just think it's classic dystopian fiction, though. There's no distinction between the ages. It's like all humans have an equal shot at being treated badly or well. It just depends on the.
And that's how you get readers at any point.
It's how you get reactions and how you get, So I think that's it. I think this came out a few years after Handmaid's Tale. And she kind of set the new trend for that stuff.
Oh,
nice. I didn't know. Like I was saying before, I was kind of just shocked that it's this old, the book. I guess people were like, when I say old, they're like, it's not, you know, it's 1993, but whatever.
Yeah, I think Handmaid's Tale was in the 80s somewhere. I can't remember.
But you know,
Oh
no, go for it.
Nah,
well,
really
no, I was just like, I was not like, I would never pick it up. Maybe like suggestions. I always read whatever. I like you, Becky. I would like somebody say, read this. I was like, yeah, sure, man. I'll read it. And I was really glad that you brought this to the table, Durin, because it was like a change of pace. For me, for my reading, like I needed that change of pace. I need to kind of like, we always get stuck in our niches for like what we like to read.
Yeah.
And that
I'm
like
glad we could expand out. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah. So I appreciated it.
Honestly,
she can sit there.
Thanks for even just hearing the pick, because when Lauren, you let me know the news, I was like, I don't even know where to start. And I looked at my coffee table and it was there. I'm like, this is exactly where to start.
This one.
So that I can do it with all of you guys and just get your downloads and your perspectives. Like, I guess I'm like top 3 most, oh my God, what the F moments. I'm trying to think of any. Do any come to mind for any of you, like right away?
I think for me, it was like, what really got me was just like the no more her dad. Like one day, gone. No explanation, no body, no nothing. And I was like, so I was being empathic with her, like with her special abilities, then her stepmom and her brothers, like, no, they're alive, no, they're dead. And it was just like, and that's just like losing those people just so sudden without nothing, no closure. That like always got me every time that happened. And then I had like major anxieties when they were walking like down the freeway, and I was just like, what's gonna happen? Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm a very anxious person. So when I'm reading, I'm sitting there like, oh no.
When she hooked up with the older guy.
Oh my
I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
That's surprising.
Yeah. What was his name? Dang. Okay, Hazel, I need you to go over there, bud. You're choking me out.
The situation how they described what happened to her brother Keith, that was
yeah.
that was very difficult to read, because it's like one thing if he's he's not here anymore, but it's another to like hear like how like viciously he was taken out of this world, basically.
Right.
I think
Yeah.
that surprised me.
Yeah, that was like one of the first major like deaths that like you start to see like her immediate family kind of go, because like the first, I think it was like the little girl in the community got shot through the gates, but like when Keith and like how they described how he was and with the gang, and I kind of wanted to yell at him like if I was his big sister, I'd be like, what are you doing, you're so stupid, stay at home.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was pretty wrenching.
I guess there's a part too that I hadn't considered reading the title before I suggested it, was that there's a very thick connection of church and Christ and God, and the parallels and the disconnects along the way. So if I pick another one, I definitely will preface that a little bit better, or at least knowingly. So
Well,
I know it wasn't purposely like
but parables, so I kind of got that might be part of it with the parable
Yeah.
thing.
yeah.
I guess I didn't.
I sort of expected that kind of thing.
Yeah.
See, I'm with you. I didn't, but I didn't, it was part of the story. So you just go with the ride at that point.
Yeah, I kind of felt the same way. It was kind of needed. Like in a time like that, that's what people go off of, like their faith, no matter what it is. And just kind of surviving. And so then she was kind of creating her own religion, her community, because it's what was needed. So that's all you're left in a situation like that. When you have nothing, you lost everybody, that's when you have your faith. So I was like, it worked with what Octavia was trying to tell in the story. So it was like, at first I was like, what are these verses all about? I was like, what?
I don't know what it means. Should I be triggered? What? Teach me. I have no idea.
At a moment, I was like, is she losing her mind? Are we in a cult now? Oh, we're in a cult now. Okay.
Yeah.
So refresh. I read it right away, and that's been a while ago now, and I know they got to his house in San Francisco, right?
In Humboldt County, which is like northeast.
Right. And so, but they got to his house, and at first they were safe, but not for long. Is that right? I can't remember who all got killed once they got there.
What they were going for, it was I can't believe I can't remember his name, but like Balant. Dang it.
Is it Bankhole?
Yeah, Bankhole. There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Devin.
Yeah.
He was going to his property at like 300 acres up top, and his sister lived in the house there, but it was actually his property. When they arrived, the house was burnt out, and pretty much his family was they're dead. They started at the end of the book, they were starting the community. People were deciding if they wanted to stay, especially like the main people like Harry and Zahara, like from the first community. And then I think they agreed to kind of try to build the Earthseed community.
Right. Okay.
And then it kind of ends with that note of like her verses for Earthseed, and then it ends with like I think a Bible verse too. So it kind of wraps that up on that book. Yeah, so I think Jill, one of the people they picked up during the road, she passed away, but that was like before they got there, I think. Like before they got there. I think her name was Jill. Yeah.
It was one of the sisters that they found.
Yeah, the sisters. She was trying to save the children or the little girl or something like that from the kidnappers. So I think everybody else was trying to. I think everybody else was safe, I think. I was trying to remember.
Yeah.
But what did you guys feel about like the sharers, the feelers of the book?
Oh God. I was trying to draw. I was like, what parallel is she attempting to create with this? Like where I really wanted just to pull up the news from 93. I don't know how old I was 7 years old, just to get an idea of like, what does this mean in terms of the timeline and what's in the media now? Is this a metaphor for something? I couldn't figure it out. So I'm eager to hear if anyone had a thought too.
I don't know. I think like Star Trek TMG, that stuff was big right then. And I think Troy is an empath.
Anna Troy, yeah.
Yeah. So it, that could be where it came into the general idea.
Yeah. I was kind of thinking that like if we just had a little bit more empathy as people that it would, cuz I think like when they were traveling on the road and at first Harry was like you're so stone cold and you're just who are you? I never like I don't know who you are. This is not the person I grew up in a community. And she started off that way and Harry was like full of empathy to people like, oh, we should help. And she's like, no, they're gonna get you killed. And then down the road, the road that she's walking, she becomes more with her powers too. She understands like I have to be a certain like I feel for these people. I trust them more.
Be careful with what she does.
Yeah, be careful. And I think it's kind of like her and the other people. It's like weariness, but then if you have like their special ability, I think the author was trying to tie that together. Like if everybody was a little bit more empathetic with each other, that that world wouldn't be that way. It would be a totally different situation. And then I don't know, because I was kind of still questioning that too. And I was gonna do that what you're doing, Jarin. I was gonna be like, well, what was that all about? It's like magic powers.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of a cool twist, though. A cool little. It gave her another dimension.
Right.
That was around the time of the riots in LA or a couple years before?
It got released in 1993. So I don't know when she
trying to remember what the climate was in Southern California.
I was a very small child, so I would not.
Yeah. I was watching Barney. I'm so sorry, guys. Not to age myself, but you know.
I don't know. I know I had family in Southern California back then, but what all was going on, I could not tell you.
I mean,
they're LA people, so you know, LA definitely has some couple of areas in it that could have gone this route in a big hurry.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Still could. Has been on the edge of it before.
Yeah. Also, Lauren, the privatizing and like it was interesting to try to feel through like why some businesses or structures existed and why others didn't, if you're fast forwarding from how we know society to be now into this future. So like how sketch inexpensive calling the police was, like that was really interesting to me.
Yeah.
The society where your wages went to your whatever the setup was, they needed teachers or whatever.
It was like vouchers for businesses. It was pretty much like it was you were indebted to your employer where they kind of hooked you on and you couldn't dig yourself out. Like it's pretty much like slave labor. So but they kept you in this community. And I don't know if you guys ever watched
I mean that's how the US was early 20th century, right?
Do you guys remember the first book we read? I can't think of the name, but the
Jennifer Government. So that's when like consumerism was extreme.
Yeah.
And like that was a really good first book too. If you haven't read it, go to their first book. That was awesome. So pretty much like Nike owned everybody. Everybody like your last name was Lauren Nike because
you worked with the company. That was one, just to preface, it was the book. So if you were like Walmart, you'd be like Samantha Walmart or something like that. They owned you. So
they owned you.
It played into the consumerism. So it kind of related a little bit back to that too, about like how you had to pay all that money to get like these services and stuff like that. Like just because they definitely created that hierarchy, which is also kind of common now because the hierarchy between the rich and the lower class is actually more extreme than it was right now during the French Revolutionary. Like we're closer to decapitating the rich than we are to passing anything in Congress to fix this right now. So it's kind of cool to see that play into our modern area too. And there's no way the author could have known that this is what it was going to be, but all the signs were there and it's happening. Right. It's history in the making.
Yeah. Oh.
I'm glad that you said that, Samantha, because when I was reading this book, it reminded me of Jennifer Government.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, dang, that's exactly.
I just remember they had barcodes or something.
Yeah, they had barcodes. And then you work for Walmart. You pretty much were like Walmart. Like your last name was Walmart. Everything was. And then I think they even had like vouchers, but that was a really good book.
Yeah.
That one was like the privatizing and kind of just like everything like that is you see that and you kind of see how what is that Tom Hanks movie? I can't remember. dang it. But it kind of reminds me of, I'll put it in the comments, but it kind of reminded me of that same situation where companies own you. Like you can't even get water, where you kind of see right now, you can't, there's some counties and there's some places that if you try to collect rainwater, they will actually sue you, and you'll get ticketed, and they might arrest you. So
Michigan, who can't even get their own stuff together. So
yeah, like, and that's very current events right now. You added to this book that was written a while ago, and I mean you can do that same with the other things, but it's just kind of amazes me that I was like, "Ooh, yeah, this is kind of like it's hitting home."
Yeah.
It is near. So in the very back of the book that I have, there are reading group questions and topics for discussion. So one sentence I wanted to read, the author has said that she came to this vision of the future by imagining our current woes progressing unchecked to their logical end.
Hello, Vicky.
Sorry.
You got booted out for a second there, Becky. Sorry.
Apparently my internet was
like half a
dropped.
second. Do you mind repeating that phrase? Sorry.
Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah, no worries. The author has said that she came to this vision of the future by imagining our current woes progressing unchecked to their logical ends. So let's say in the early 90s, she's considering what she sees. There were, and is forecasting that. So yeah, to everyone's point, that like it's really interesting to see what really rings true. And there were also other subtle moments that I really appreciated, that you almost would need to know what tech is like now. The author never really used technical terms past like a laser or a computer. It was never something like a plasma TV, something that would date the piece. But it was enough to give you this idea of what the future could be like. And I was like, wow, that's actually really insightful to take that, because you're buying more time for this literature to be timeless and just to reflect a government, a city, a structure. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that's very smart, because you could read it probably 50 years from now and still find relatable parts of it. It's kind of like when they did 1984 and stuff like that. There's a bunch of investment books that they talk about just not closing your mind and being open, and they tell these stories from the 1930s, but it's also very relatable because they leave out the dating parts, Yeah. So that was very smart of the author to do that, because I read it and I'm like, wow, like it's today, like maybe not a month, but
I like how you mentioned 1984, because I think John Green put like a little blurb on top of the cover of this book, and he compared it to like The Handmaid's Tale and 1984. So I was like, yeah.
Which I thought this book was a way easier read than like 1984. It took me like 5 tries to completely finish that book. Like I kept picking it up, and I'm like, I would like read like 10 pages, and I'm like, this is just beyond me.
Well, that's very manipulative.
Hard to read. But the
very
dialogue,
dystopian, very rough, very paranoia inducing.
Yeah, Winston was a hard one. As I think his name was Winston in 1984, where it was just kind of like, ooh,
that sounds.
And I read that like, I think early when I was 20 something, and that was kind of like that when I was starting to open my doors. I was working at Barnes and Nobles. I was like, I'm going to read this book. I was like, I'm going to put this book down for a moment. It took me a while to read it through. Yeah.
That's the one he hides in the corner to read a book, right? He doesn't let them see him reading. Is that one?
Yeah, and they have like TVs on the wall, and they're kind of always watching like Big Brother. Yeah, and
he saves newspapers, and he finds out that they lie about the news.
Oh, right.
The war will start with this, or no, we're friends with them. The war start with But yeah, it's just it definitely, the way the author wrote this book makes it timeless. That you can probably relate to it at any point in time, because there's nothing that dates it. I agree with that.
Yeah, I agree too. I agree with your grill.
Yeah, the problem with a lot of these books too, when I say dystopian fiction, fiction's the key here. So it's wherever the author feels like going. There's no basis in fact. So they just make stuff up as they go along. They can take you whatever journey they want. They can kill this person or that person, or let this person live, or burn down a house, or do whatever.
At least you hope it's fiction.
Really frustrated. I'm like, why in the world would they have done this?
It's only fiction until it's not.
Place to go with this.
Yeah, it's chaos. It's like that's what it
is.
was. Yeah, it was just pure chaos because there's no rhythm or there's no happy ending all the time. There's no reason for a lot of things that go on in this world. And that was what it created with me. And I was like, I'm an anxious person, like I said, but like there is no reason for it, and then that's
Right.
kind of true
And
for
I
what
think
goes on.
that does get me. Sometimes you say there's not always a happy ending, but like I said, it's fiction. So they bring you on this journey. And sometimes I get mad when they have brought me on this journey and they've made me invest my time and my emotions and all my stuff. And then they've just said, then they've come to the end and they've gone, well, F you, I'm going to end it like this. And
Yeah.
you're going to be up in the air or you're going to be pissed or my classic example for this is my sister's keeper. Did anybody read that? Jodi Picoult?
No.
I don't think I did. No.
I think I did a while
The
ago.
older sister has some kind of issues and is always needing, I don't know if it's blood transfusions or what. So they have another baby, and this is her story. She's a few years younger than the sister, but they have her hoping that she'll be a match to the older sister, which she is. So she's constantly throughout her life being called upon to help donate blood to her older sister. But she doesn't like just being told that she can do this. So she does this whole thing to be emancipated from her parents so that she can make the choice because her sister has told her, I don't want to go through this anymore. And the sister's over 18, so she can decide it. So the younger girl, who's like 14 or 15 when she's doing this, she goes to court and they do this whole thing. She gets an attorney. She does this whole thing to go to court. And she goes to court and she wins the case. She wins her right to say yes or no. And then on the way back from court, there's a car crash and she's killed.
So you're like all this build up and you're like, boom. Yeah.
So they take this donation. And the thing is, she was not going to never do it again. She just wanted to make the choice with her sister, if her sister wanted her to do it again, she would. But if her sister said no, she could say no. And that's all she was asking. And so they take her, whatever it is, after the car crash, give it to the sister. The sister lives. Now, the sister was dying. That's why they went to this whole thing, because the sister was like, let me die. So they kill the girl off on her way out from court, use whatever it is to save, and the sister lives this long and happy life. I'm still mad, and I read it.
I'm still pissed. No, I could see that too, because like when I read to just dissociate with like everything that's going on in the world. So yeah, sometimes I want something to be like wrapped up in a pretty little bow and make it feel good, like dopamines, like bring it on. But then when you get something that's just like, oh, like that, it just sometimes you get pissed about it.
Yeah, I can relate.
No,
I think the biggest truth I think I've ever been hit with as an adult and just watching or reading anything was so right when the pandemic started, I had never seen one complete episode of Game of Thrones. So I said, hey, quarantine, curfew, what better time? So I sat down and started from the very beginning, and I had to like walk. If anyone's seen the whole series, I did it all at one chunk. It took me a couple weeks, but I had to walk myself back to normalcy because I've never seen characters killed and so flippantly just told and tossed about in a story. I lost my trust in stories being told to me. It was PTSD. So every time a movie started, I like had to force myself to allow myself to be invested in a character. So after Game of Thrones, I'm like, they really can do whatever they want.
Whatever they want.
Keep my eyes peeled. I need to receive this because it was a journey. I needed therapy after. I didn't know what to do with myself.
Honestly, Durin,
yeah.
that's literally why I had to stop watching Game of Thrones, because they were doing that, and I could not like emotionally handle that. Like I would be like, "Oh, I love this person." Oh, they did.
Yep.
And like
Yep.
I couldn't do it. Like things I like PTSD. If I see things and I know that that's where it's gonna go, I was like, I don't think I can do that. Like The Quiet Place or like what like those kind of movies. I was like, can I get like a musical or something? Because it scares me. But it's really good to kind of like, I can do it in reading for some odd reason. I'm watching it, it's like a whole different lip. But like reading this, like now, like you see her brother, which she wasn't really connected with, or her like dad. Her dad was kind of like a little bit more, because he was like trying to be there and protect her and show her the ways, and boom, gone. And like, for what? We don't know. But yes, I like it. I'm actually gonna try to read the second book. I want to see where it goes. I might do some audiobook. So I'm at work. It's gonna be like really dark, and I'm like, but I usually
my first audiobook.
Oh, really? I like audiobook. I actually used the audiobook to finish up the book. I was reading it, and then I had like 30 pages left, but I just didn't have enough time. And then I just did the audiobook, which was really good.
Lifesaver, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just staring off in space like, oh, dang, that's messed up. But I'm going to probably audiobook the second one just to complete the series, because I really liked it. I like how the author took it, Octavia Butler, which I don't think she's no longer with us. I think she passed away a while ago. But I want to, read a little bit more of her writings. It was good. So thanks, Durin, for recommending that.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks for having me. No,
I like your ringtone, by the way, Becky. Like Harry Potter. Woo-hoo.
Oh, my Harry Potter ringtone. Yeah. Well, the pharmacy's calling me because they sent me an email. Oh, your prescription's due. I click on the prescription. It says nothing's due. So then I only have like 3 meds. So I click on them, and one is due to be refilled in like a few days. So I'm like, okay, I'll get that refilled. So the guy just called me, goes, by the way, just to let you know, it's $204 for this prescription.
Oh, dear Lord.
Well, it wasn't $204 the last time I got it. He said, you've had it before. Yes. So he goes through and he's like, oh, we didn't put it through your insurance, which is crappy. But the insurance is crappy, not them. But
all insurance are crappy.
We're using this. And so by giving me the discount, it takes $150 off of it.
Wow.
I'm like, yeah, thanks. But if people need to meet their deductible because they have a lot of meds, then it doesn't make sense. So he had to explain all this. Yeah. Got it. Thanks. I'll take the $150 off. See you tomorrow. Bye.
I did look up. Octavia Butler did pass away in 2006.
Oh, she did?
Yeah, just to put that. Yeah, someone had said that. So I did look up. She did pass away in February 2006. So. Wow. But we still love her book.
I enjoyed it. Yeah, it was hard sometimes. Yeah, it's a difficult read.
Yeah,
but I enjoyed it.
Easiest. And again, thanks everyone for humoring this selection. So it sat on my So context of how I found out about this book. Has anyone seen The OA on Netflix?
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
So
I've seen commercials, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's weird. It's out there. I'm a huge fan. Britt Marling, The OA. O as an octopus, A as an angel. The OA. If you look it up, it's spacey. It's weird. It's unique. It's different. But she, one of the writers, I just find the way that she storytells to just be very interesting, like Inception type of thinking, just to paint and use and to breadcrumb. I'm just always fascinated. She recommended this book, but again, it was before COVID. So I bought it because I appreciated what she produced, and it sat on my table. And I knew the moment would come when I would want to dive into this book. The same thing with Game of Thrones. So when I got to pick, I was like, if you all can read this with me, that's the best way to navigate this journey. So everyone.
The accountability partners.
Yes.
That's a good thing about this, though, is because, like I said, I would never. That book would have been so far on the bottom of my list. Just looking at that, I'd be like, nope. If I have nothing else, then I would maybe read that. But I got so much else. So when you said, "Here's the book club," I'm like, well, let's give it a shot.
Yeah, and that's what I like that about this book club too, because there's a lot of things that we recommend. I was like, I would never pick that up. I'm usually like a fantasy kind of deal, and then when I read, I'm like, oh, that was good. Like The Silent Patient, I would never pick that up.
I know he's got a new one out.
Oh yeah, you would really like that book. So Lauren was talking about how we have a lot of niches, and we do a lot of like mystery horror things.
Yeah, we like suspense.
Yeah, so like this was good to get out of our common comfort zone, but if we go back to it, just point it out to us. We'll fix it.
You're like, move along, guys.
Yeah,
try something different.
We did this the last 6 times. Come on, let's go.
The Silent Patient was incredible, and apparently there are maybe some characters from The Silent Patient in his new book.
Ooh,
I don't know.
That was a really good first book. If you guys haven't read that, Devin and Jarin, it's a really good. I guess it's like actually gaining like steam on like book TikTok and everybody's starting to read it. So, and they're recommending it. But that's a really good one. There's like a list on Instagram which I actually have to update. But of all the books that we read, Jennifer Government is the first one that we ever did, and that was a really good one as well.
Yeah.
Speaking of, so usually we go through a rotation of people picking the next book. So I picked Jarin because he was the newest, and it just only took us like 5 years for us to finally do our meeting. But now, Devin, you are the next person, so you get to pick the next month's book. So just let me know, and then I'll post it on the page. Yeah, like this way. There you go.
Yeah.
So you will be the next pick. No pressure. Yeah.
Oh wait, hold on. There you go.
And I just read another one called The Last Flight. Have you guys heard about this one?
No.
I think I've seen something about that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. This gal is fleeing from an abusive marriage, and she wants to get away, and she's had everything all plotted out, and she's headed this way, and some plans get changed, and she's at the airport, and she meets up with this other lady, and they change identities because the other lady is also fleeing from her life. Oh, wow. So they trade each other's IDs, and the other lady gets on the plane. She's supposed to be on to Costa Rica, and she gets on the plane to California. When she gets off in California, she's looking at the screens, and everybody's like, oh my God. And the plane to Puerto Rico has crashed.
No. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Don't let that affect your choice. You could pick whatever you want.
No, pick whatever you want. But I
have so many books. Like
if there's another book like you're thinking of, or if you're looking for another book to just pick up and read, that's a good one to. It was good.
I'm gonna try to read this one in the middle of whatever, but this is a really good one that a lot of people are talking about. It Ends With Us, Colleen Hoover. So I'm going to try to do this one. But I read my Hades Persephone love story.
Oh, you did?
Oh, yeah. It was good. It was a guilty pleasure. Yeah. So I ended up getting those.
I just purchased a Colleen Hoover book. I forgot what it's supposed to be about, but I think it's called like Verity.
Yes. But that was another one I wanted to get. But I wanted to do this one first, and then I'm going to do Verity.
What is it? What kind of stuff is it?
This is supposed to like make you cry for every page that you read, and it's like a relationship. Yeah, it's a tearjerker on that one. So, and I think Veracity, Colleen Hoover, that one was supposed to be really good, like good relationships. I think they were saying it's like a little like intense, like the relationship, but I don't know. A lot of people were talking about it, so I kind of wanted to be on the bandwagon and read it.
All right, so you're gonna pick a book, or you'll pick a book, or you can pick like 2 or 3 books, and then we pick.
Yes, you could do that too. So if you're too nervous, or like you just have a bunch of listed books, let me know, and then I'll make a poll, and then people pick usually like, oh yeah, this one sounds like a really good one. Or if you want a specific book, just let me know, and I could just post that one book. So
okay, cool.
And we'll read it.
Yeah, we'll read it.
Where are your aunties today? I know Sophia has a wine tasting.
Yeah, she's got wine tasting, and I don't know. I haven't heard from Vanessa.
Well, she's been home for a couple of weeks, so she probably went out of town.
Yeah, most likely. I know that Sophia is going to like do a video and then post it onto the group page, which I'm actually really excited to watch because she's so crazy.
I saw that, Lauren. I was like, I didn't know we could do that. I didn't even
You can do that?
That's the
Yeah.
best part.
Yes. If you can't make, you can do whatever you want, babies. So like I actually have a chat room. So if people wanted to read the book, but they don't want to be on like the actual video chat, they can like be on the chat room and I can see it and then just and actually have it scrolling on the page of what they're saying or like being added onto it. So it's for everybody.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm in Palm Springs and on vacation, but I told my friends because we'd postponed so many times that there was no way I could miss it. So they're all in the house.
Dad, oh, so jealous.
You going back to the party, are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're all in the house hanging out. I'm like, I don't give a what happens. I'm making this call today. So
That's
just
awesome.
pause the party for 60 minutes and I'll be back. So
You pause the party for book club. I freaking love you, Durin. I was worried too. I was like, oh, I don't know where Durin is. Let me text him real quick. Oh, there he is.
I miss Palm Springs. We used to go every year when I worked at the commercial real estate company in San Diego for our company retreat. And of course, we go in the summer to Palm Springs. So I think one year was 127 at the pool when Sophie and the kids came out one time. And we'd always go to the Marriott Desert Springs Resort.
Oh, nice.
Was our place.
Enjoy the Palm Springs for me. I don't know if I'll ever get out there.
Yeah. I'm there in spirit.
I'll have a drink for you and you just party enough for me. Okay.
I will do that. That's perfect. That's the perfect trade-off. All the support, and for me, none of the calories. That sounds great.
Exactly. I got you. I got you.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining.
It's been real.
Guys.
It's been real.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys.
We'll see you next time. I'll post the dates.
See
All
you.
right, bye.
Wait to see what
Bye, guys.
book.
Oh, no, I'm excited.
Bye.
Bye.